Ambitchiously Intelligent.
Ambitiously Intelligent.
This is not our first attempt to record this episode.
Not even close.
Yes, it's about starting before you're ready.
This is the concept that we are fully embracing.
We're definitely going to shine the light on women filmmakers.
And the creativity kind of like spread its wings. I was like, okay, let's do something with it.
Enjoying, having fun, learning, and not taking things too seriously.
One, cute as a button.
You do. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yay. I love how we're always waiting for, I don't know, like fireworks or something that should happen immediately after we clap. Like someone should give us a reward.
Waiting
or
for each other. I know. Hey, everyone. Hi, Valeria.
Hi, Eva.
We want to welcome you all to our first episode of Ambitchiously Intelligent.
Ambitiously Intelligent.
We have to be very honest. This is not our first attempt to record this episode. This is now the third.
Not even close. Yes. It's episode 1, take 3. It's not a bad thing.
Take 3 in a period of few weeks. Like I would say 3 weeks or something like that.
Yes.
Why are we sharing this with you, our dear listeners? Is because this is what this is about. This podcast is about starting before you're ready and taking the steps. And if you fall down flat on your face, stand up again and continue.
Yes. This is the concept that we are fully embracing.
Yeah.
And I love it. I think it's amazing, and it's very, very suitable for our name. It's Ambitchiously Intelligent. Mm-hmm. So let's unpack a little bit what this means and why this name, and how does this kind of come together. Ambition, intelligent, and bitches.
Bitches. Yeah, please, Valeria.
Yes, I think it's about the energy. It's something that ambition radiates. It's like sometimes blunt, fiery, feisty. It's something that you really want. You keep your eyes on the ball and you keep moving no matter what. So this is exactly about moving before you're even ready, like making steps. And then you also want to back it up with intelligence. You want to dig deep. You want to understand things. You want to learn. And at the same time, get moving. Like you don't separate those two processes in time and space. And it creates, I feel, like a beautiful combination. This is what we are doing. And I think that's what we want our listeners to kind of learn with us, maybe from us, because we are already doing it, and we can show some evidence of that. And and being ambitiously intelligent, I feel it's about, the stereotype that still exists that women and ambition, it's something that doesn't go well together. And I think the stereotype has nothing to do in the 21st century and 2025 next year. So we need to get rid of it. And this is something that we want to embrace, to help women realize their full potential, lift them up, shine light on them.
Yes. That's what it's about. It's empowering women and also independent filmmakers, but we're definitely going to shine the light on women filmmakers, and we want to learn from each other. So we will be interviewing a lot of gorgeous creative souls that we can all learn from. As Valeria said, we are just learning. Ambitiously intelligent. That is, intelligence is for us, and for me, the willingness to learn, to always be open to learning new things and being aware of that we kind of know nothing. Like I can only talk for myself. I know one thing for sure, and that is that I know nothing. And and also the bitches part. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're not going to take ourselves too seriously, because this is fun. This is creative, and it's this beautiful, childish, fun energy that I just love. And I think I have that from my grandpa. He's 93, and he's like a little boy, and I love him, and he's so much fun and so smart. Yeah, so that's definitely what we're going to continue keeping, this beautiful energy of just enjoying, having fun, learning, and not taking things too seriously. And I would love to ask you, Valeria, how did your journey start?
Yeah, the journey.
The filmmaking journey.
I
mean, you can sell that.
Yes, exactly. I think it started with, it started early on. I fell in love with the theater first. So that was something that really hooked me from a young age. And I can only remember, recently I watched, and we discussed it, the episode of Only Murders in the Building. And I think it was season 3, where Meryl Streep is this beautiful actress, talented, but she's in her late 40s. And still he hasn't been discovered. And that's just like weighs heavy on her. So she really wants this moment when someone says, "Where have you been your whole life?" And that was the moment for me. I think I remember being in the theater surrounded by this atmosphere. One of my friends' neighbors, she has a mother who was a costume designer. So I get behind the scenes with the actors, all adults and stuff. And they were like cool and everything. And that energy just got into me. But at the same time, they were childish and playful. And they had so much love for the craft. Yeah. And I remember they just like got us into a couple plays. We were, basically playing around, nothing serious. We were around 6-7 years old. And that was a big start for me. I really, really remember being on stage, feeling this energy, just like, even like participating in the evening performances where like my dad had to come and grab me at some moment, because there was like a very mature content in this play that I participated. So I don't even remember how it ended still to this day, because I was always like sneaked away.
You weren't allowed to
I took part like in the opening scene, and then my dad would go behind the curtain, like take me by the arm and just like, let's go. Yeah, I'm so protective still. That story. But after that, I think also as I matured, as I became kind of older, I got into writing. But writing for me was more like self-therapeutic. It was my way of navigating like some complexities of my, emotional landscape. I tried to kind of make sense of the world. I really felt isolated. There were not a lot of people who saw the world like me, who experienced things like personally and sensitively. Also, I felt like maybe there were a lot of people like me, because I'm learning it now that, but back in the day I was left to my own devices, and I felt like so alone and isolated. And writing and then movies became something for me that I could, find can relate to those characters, the people who seemed like me. And I just fell in love. I would become completely transformed by the story I was watching, absorbed, like to the point where I had to like pull myself by the ears, because I can fully like, detach from the real world and go into this beautiful reality created by someone else. And yeah, there was like something that went hand in hand together, acting, but it was acting kind of in the amateur theater and school plays and stuff, trying to also write into that. It was nothing serious. I honestly considered applying for, like drama schools and stuff, but my parents were kind of very matter-of-factly about that. They were like, you should have a serious job. Being from a really small place, like I'm from Omsk, which is in Siberia, in Russia. It's like a really, really suburban town. There wasn't much choice. So people, if you are good with maths, you go and study economics. If you're not particularly, like I wasn't, so you go like law, maybe medicine, languages. So I don't even remember, like I think because my granddad was like a lawyer, a prominent lawyer in the city. So I decided to follow into his steps, and I became a lawyer. And this academic world kind of also had a very interesting effect on me. I became idealistic. I wanted to change the world. I really, really loved being in academia. I thrived there because people are there talking about ideas and concepts and like how to improve. And then once I graduated, honestly, it's just boiled down to facing the reality and understanding that the world does not necessarily work the way I wished. And so that's the beginning of the journey. And years and years I was just like trying to reconcile my reality being like a corporate, like worker, with something that was going on inside me, which is like being creative and wanting this creativity, like to find a way inside out, like to connect to this energy, to connect to this part of myself, which wasn't dormant. I wouldn't say it was dormant, but it was, I think, for a lot of years just like too shy to shine through. And it all hit, just like to cut the long story short, it all hit me, I think, first at the beginning of the COVID, while we all had time to kind of become more grounded, to slow down, to understand what's going on. And then obviously the beginning of the war in Ukraine. I'm half Ukrainian, half Assyrian, but born and raised in Russia. And it's something that I hold, dear and near to my heart. So from this fact stems like a lot of frustration with my situation being still based in Russia and having to, deal with all of this. Like, this is like part of my identity, being Ukrainian and sympathizing with the situation, and being based in Russia. It's like something that is really, really, really causes me a lot of like pain and struggle, and so this is basically was my stop point.
There?
Yes.
May I ask you one thing? Because the thing is, as you said, you are also Ukrainian, but at the same time, the only passport you have is the Russian one.
Yes.
And that must be really confusing.
It is very confusing. Also because, like, how do you move emotionally from the place you once called home? Because home is like such a concept that it does not just exist in your passport. It's not just a citizenship. It's something that like your values are, like something that is like a deep, your origin, your roots. And then you can no longer identify with this place because of what is happening politically. And all the people I know are saying that's so different, like politics has nothing to do with this, but I don't believe this is true. Politics has everything to do with this. This is like the politics, the people who obviously we probably don't choose actively because of, the political climate in the country. But at the same time, we were like tacitly agreeing to the situation. So I think we all share this responsibility for what is happening, and for the generations to come. I think, they would be rightly placing this blame onto us as a nation, as a, nation meaning like as a citizens of this country who could have done something early on, but were like either too comfortable or, this type of thing.
And did this push you then to go into to really embrace your creativity and start with the filmmaking?
Yeah. I think I just hit the rock bottom because I couldn't understand what was happening outside. I lost all the sense in it. Like the meaning was gone for me from the world. Like I froze. I was in a state of survival, and even that I couldn't, like, it was just barely functioning because like there were a lot of people who depended on me back when after COVID, everything was just recovering. And I had to take care of the people and the business I was in. But I was barely functioning. I wasn't like fully here. And at that moment I realized that the only meaning I can derive from it all is as like people, as humans, is to do something that helps people in any way. And I remember like trying to find volunteering jobs in humanitarian organizations and NGOs everywhere, because I did an LLM in international law, so I'm qualified. And it proved to be also tricky, like doing this from here. Like people were also reluctant, someone from Russia wants to do humanitarian and stuff. But I did a couple jobs, but I didn't feel that I have like a real impact onto the situation. I wanted to do more, and and at that moment, it was something like me connecting back to my writer side, like beginning writing about everything that I feel, like putting it onto the page. And I think once it's like I let everything fully out, then the creativity kind of like spread its wings. I was like, okay, I believe in you. Let's dive in and let's do something with it. Because honestly, the only truth that I know is that art and cinema and literature, music, just all of this like cultural things, they really help people live, and they save lives the more than we know. And I want to be part of this, because I want like someone to watch and to relate and to say, here is the hope that there is another day, and I won't feel that like shitty or lost or lonely. There are people like me. And this is basically my story. And then from that there was this one workshop, filmmaking workshop at NIFA in Florence. Beautiful city. Was just like for 1 week, but I met for the first time in ages like people with whom I fully clicked and connected. And I think that opened the door for me even to be able to meet you, like the person that you are, an amazing human being, very creative, very talented, very open-hearted. Like, I love you.
Only give that
but
back.
But
Love
to meet
too,
you at your level, not being kind of like insecure and hide, just like meet you as a human on a human level. I think that workshop allowed me this, just to trust into people and to see that there are people who are feeling the same way I do. But I want to ask how your journey started. I know, but I want you to tell this beautiful story. It's
I'm so emotional. See, this is why we're doing this, everyone. If you're listening to us, and I assume if you hear me talking, you're listening to me. Hello. That's what I said. Don't take yourself too seriously. You have often the feeling you're alone in it, and that's what we want to take away. Like, we are a community. We support each other. Let's be here for each other. And my journey is like yours. It was totally different too. Like, I didn't, like a lot of actors, as I'm an actor and producer, and a lot of actors start like they're like 15 on stage, or like you, very young, and then they like start go to school and and I didn't have any of that. And for me, I was diagnosed with an eye disease, non-curable. The doctors say. I'm like, I'm different. I know I'm different. It's gonna be different. But when I was diagnosed with that, I think it's like now, I try to push these things away. I have to be honest. It's like 15 years ago, at least, or 17. It was a shock, and I just realized that I'd been living my life in a sense of functioning. I wasn't fully living. I was functioning. And I was functioning a lot in the way of like how I thought people wanted me to be. And I've always loved supporting others. And at the same time, I didn't give myself that love that I love giving others. I didn't. And when I got the diagnosis, it catapulted me. And it's just in a sense of like, I just realized, I was like, okay, wait, what am I doing here? And it was so close to me that life is really short all of a sudden, because as the doctor said, you could lose your eyesight in a year. We don't know. And then realizing I won't be able to see all this beauty. And I love films. I grew up with films. I remember in Iceland, the TV was constantly on, and I was watching everything, and I just loved it. And I always was interested in it. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be inside of it. It gave me so much. And it gave me this feeling of I could like leave my own reality behind, just be inside of that reality. And so I wanted that. And then with the diagnosis and everything, I realized like, okay, I want to start living. And I was very lucky that I have 2 children, and my hubby was supporting enough that he said, you know what, yes, let's go on this. Well, it's us going on the journey. It's me, yet he supported me, which was really important.
Beautiful.
And then I started going to schools and going, to acting classes, ended up in LA, where I did Ivana Chapak and was there for several weeks. And then I've done a lot of other methods and studied, and it's changed my life in a profound way, in the way of that I'm getting closer and closer and closer every day to just who I am and my truth, and speaking my truth. And there are a lot of days where I still fall flat on my face again, but and I'm lost, and I doubt myself, and then I stand up again, and I'm like, okay, what can I do? What are the steps that I can take? And it's also been like relationship, being married, and your partner not understanding this world. It's not always the easiest thing. And yet, still continuing, both of them, also him and me, both going like, okay, let's see where we're going and how this will be. And I think that's when we met. I've obviously been on this journey now for a longer time.
Yes.
And I've done a few films. I've been lucky enough, shorts and features, and I've somehow slided into this. It was like the producing just came to me. It was never planned, but I love that part too. So when we meet, that's where I've had all this behind me, and I'm still struggling. Like I'm still like struggling in the sense of how to make ends meet. I have to be very, very honest. That's the independent filmmaking. And yet at the same time, trusting and believing, you know what? I do know a lot of beautiful creatives that can live off this. And that's what I want from for everyone that's on this path. That we just find this beautiful, how to say it, like that art and being able to support yourself with your art, that is possible. And I think that starts to be possible in a community.
Yes.
When we are lifting each other up, when we're supporting each other. And that's why I was thrilled. I mean, first of all, filming with you was amazing, because you are a fantastic director. And
wait, we have to tell how we met.
Yes. How did we meet?
This was, I think, it was meant to be, I feel. I don't really know. It was so wonderful. I was in Florence. We met online. We met through a friend.
Yes, beautiful,
Brigitta,
gorgeous woman. Brigitta.
Our amazing friend. She's also like an actress and writer, very talented, very special. So we met because she kind of united us for another project.
Yes.
And we were doing a lot of online meetings, but we never met in person. And we spoke like as a group. It was like 5 people. And then I remember you were coming to visit Florence, because this is where the other project is kind of set. And we all wanted to do location scouting together and get inspired and meet each other finally in person. And I just remember that you had this energy of just like, you're an adult, but you're just like so curious, so open, like a child, like, and those amazing big blue eyes, like they're so curious and hungry to know the world, to learn new things. And I don't know, it was like your energy. I think I shared something with you, the other short film, or like rather a music type of video that I did, and you liked it, and you said that if you have something, and you were all very I'm still like vulnerable sharing things that I do because I feel still that I'm kind of a novice, even though I've been writing my whole life. But I think the filmmaking part is new, like making, creating. I was rather like on the sidelines, like writing, but then not sharing, watching passively films. But yeah, nothing to do with like filming and, like creating films. So yeah, I was vulnerable to show you my project, and you were so generous with the compliments, and the energy was just like trust, immediate. It was like this pull, and you said that you liked it, and I didn't even like. It wasn't, I would, I don't know, like 90% of the times question things, but it wasn't from you. I didn't question it, and you said you wanted to do something together, just in case. It was like, you mentioned it in passé. But it stuck in my mind, and once I was writing the movie La Bella Vita di Veronique, the one that is like my debut short film, but highly autobiographical. I had you on the back of my mind, and I didn't know if you say yes, because it was also like a short notice thing. But yeah, you got excited. I sent you the script. You got excited, and you just jumped right in. And I think what really, really I admire about you is like how you started working on the character and asked questions, and you really wanted to understand, and you really want to dig deep. And it's about, everything that you do. And it's, I think, connects to the topic of intelligence in our podcast. It's something that you really, really want to learn. And even though you say that you the only thing you know is nothing, but I don't think it's true. You know some things, like a
few things,
fair amount of things. So yeah, that was amazing. How was for you?
Yeah, I think it's so cool. Like how you're telling it, and then the way, sort of on my side, it was the same. It was like when I met you online through Birgitta, I was just like, oh my God, this is one of the most talented women I've ever met. Everything, the way you write, the way we were diving into the project, the other film, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I connected immediately with you. And then we met in Florence, and the funny thing is that my agent Darren had asked me before. He's like, Eva, because you speak multiple languages, because I speak fluent English, German, and Icelandic, as I am from Iceland. And now Italian, Russian. No. He was like, could you do Russian? And I'm like,
sure.
Or Polish or something. And I was like, yeah. And then I started listening to Russian. I was like, maybe that's a little bit too, but that's kind of me. I'm always like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh my God, what was I saying? And then we met. And I hadn't forgotten what my, agent had said when what he was talking about. And then we met in person, and I saw your beautiful music video. And it was about, Ukraine and this experience with the war, which was very moving, how you were portraying it and how honest and real. And I was just like, okay, that was just another like, yep, I knew it. She's amazingly talented and just beautiful soul, which you are. So I was like, I know she can speak Russian, obviously. So it's like, how about, and that's why I asked you, I was like, would you be open to, doing a short thing with me, a short clip where you would help me learn Russian? and then, we can film something. And you were like, yeah. And then when you asked me, and then you parted, and I went back to Austria, where I'm based, and you were still in Florence. That's where you were based at that time. This was this year, beginning of this year, 2024. I didn't think anything more of it, because I kind of now, thank God, I'm in a space where I'm starting to trust, and I'm really starting to trust the universe and manifesting and all of that. Like, just like, it will come, divine time is there, and if it's meant to be, it will be. And then you asked me, and I can tell you, I am a little girl, and I will always be a little girl. I was jumping up and down in my living room when you asked me. I was like, oh my God, yes. And he said, you were like, yeah, she's going to be Russian and English speaking, like have all these languages. The two of them I knew of. I only knew of the two. And I was
But
like,
there was a twist.
And then there was a twist to the story when I got the script and I realized it's 3 languages and it's Italian too. And I got all excited too, but then I was like, oh my God, I don't have that much time. But yeah, so that was the beautiful start. And how it came to us now doing this podcast is then we were starting with I was not involved with the pre-production or on set the production. I was there solely as an actor, as a leading actress, and that was it. And now I've started becoming involved in La Bella Vita di Veronique, now in the post-production. And that's where we're starting. We were like starting researching everything. I've produced before, but never been so much involved with the post-production. It's always been more the pre and then on set, interestingly.
I didn't know that.
And yeah. And so when it came to film festivals and we were thinking about strategies and everything, that's I think where this idea with this podcast came. I remember, am I right? That we were like, okay, you know what? We were researching it. We worked with also AI, which was really interesting because I've always had a little bit of a thing with AI. I'm like, I love it. At the same time, I'm not sure. As an actor, I'm like, not so fond of if it's taking over jobs, which it is for a lot of like, actors. It can happen, particularly background and stuff like that. At the same time, I'm like, there must be a way to, there's always a way to work with it. Everyone just to be open to that. And that's when we started exploring. We're like, you know what? I'm sure there are other people out there we know that can feel lost, that would love the support of just hearing what other creatives are doing. How are they taking these steps? How did they take the steps towards their first short film, like Valeria, you did? Or how did they then take the next step towards their feature film? How is it with the production? How is it with the film festival strategies? And that's where we started talking about, how about a podcast?
Yeah.
And particularly in supporting women. And there's so many gorgeous men out there and beautiful creatives that want to support women and want to help them and want them to be a huge and have more of women being in this field. So those are also the ones that we're going to be interviewing. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the podcast thing, I guess we were just like so comfortable being in each other's company, and it was just this idea that we have to do more, we have to create more as the two of us together, because there is like something that is like the good type of energy, the good type of space kind of that we create with each other. And we were doing, basically it all started with the festival strategy essentially.
Yes.
And we were experimenting with AI. I was very curious. I knew of people who just use AI for everything. I was like, I wanted really to try, because I don't know, I really like things, like optimizing things, if you can do things smarter, if you can, learn from someone else. And that's why I love podcasts as well. I usually, I love this format because it allows you to dig deep into the conversations and topics and not just scratch the surface. And and with the festivals, we realized that it's a tricky topic. There's so much information out there, and yet it's still not kind of enough. It's not precise. It's not focused. It's not kind of defined for once and for all. So we were digging into this, and we tried to create our own festival strategy, and AI came very helpful with that.
Yes.
So, and also, I think, why podcasts? I think it's our favorite format. And we shared with each other different podcasts that you listen, that I listen. And I know for myself that I always get so excited when I see one of my favorite podcasters dropped an episode. I'm like, hey, I'm going on a walk and I'm gonna, I'm gonna walk my dog and listen to the podcast the whole time because I love it. And it allows you to be this fly on the wall, you're just like almost entering the room with these people. I love the visual format as well. I think we discussed it. But usually just, I think as you are too, I checked, like where is it taking place? Who are the people? Their body language, once there is this trust or, this kind of admiration going on, I can just listen. So I don't have to watch them and I can do my own things. I really like this kind of multitasking, like if I drive or if I walk or walk my dog or just like do jogging, walking type of thing. I really like listening to podcasts. It just takes me in a completely different dimension. It gets me inspired. It gives me like a toolkit to move forward. And if I have like any agenda or like something like a goal or a plan, you can always look for the podcast that will kind of support and further this. And this is our goal for you, dear listeners, that we want you to be able to, learn something from us or learn with us. I think this is even more true.
I think that's the thing. It's learn with us.
Yes.
Because we are on the journey.
Yes.
And it could be that we're a little bit further than some of you. And I'm sure a lot of you are further than us. And that's gorgeous and beautiful. And please, that's what we want. We will have in the show notes, what we will have there. Obviously now, and the first one is La Bella Vita di Veronique, that you can see the trailer. We cannot show you the movie as we are in the film festival circuit as we're speaking, so that won't work. We also would love to hear from you. If you're listening or watching us or doing both, like I do. I first start the video on YouTube. I love that. Going on YouTube, watching them, and then at one point I'm just listening or doing something. That's totally fine. I love it. If you have anything, topics that you would want us, to cover, if there's someone that you say like, girls, you need to interview that gorgeous human being, that powerful woman, that has done amazing things and is on her way. Also, again, it's never about anyone being the specialist. It's more about, because the independent way is so, there isn't just one way to do things in the independent film industry. It isn't. So if somebody's selling you this thing, it's like, this is how you do it and it's only that way, I am definitely gonna be able to show you 10 people that have done it different ways and they've all made it. And they have made their first feature, or they have made several short films. So that's what this is. It's like this open conversation about learning from each other. At the same time, if you want to copy something, do it. Copy it, but in your own way. Like definitely use things from others, like their strategies and the way they set up maybe, the production or whatever. Definitely do that. And then, sprinkle your magic over it and it's yours. It definitely is. So what we want to do here is support each other, support you, in taking the steps, daring, and not waiting for something to be 100% before you start.
Yes. No waiting. Waiting is done. It doesn't exist.
Waiting is done.
You just have to, honestly, don't wait. Don't wait for anyone. Don't wait for anything. There is not such a thing as the right moment. There is not such a thing as waiting for motivation, inspiration. This just doesn't exist. It's like something that we've been, I think, fed for many, many years. And this is not to say that inspiration is not important. Of course it is important to be inspired. Of course it is important to have this fire in your heart. But you can only drive for, so long on this kind of fuel. There has to be something else, something like, I think the other topic that we want to introduce is the mindset, and it's something that I think you and I are very particular about, and it's something how we kind of creating this for ourselves. We're redefining what success means to us. We are redefining what life we should have or want to have. We're becoming very clear with this, and we are welcoming the energy, and we are kind of trying to co-create with the universe. because the opportunities are there, and they are there for you to take, to harness. They're not scarce. This is not about, it's just only for those people, or for people with money, for people with connections, for people. It's for everyone, really. And it's just, it's up to you to just open your eyes and, and step in. And that's the question I want to ask you about the mindset, how it all, because obviously, when you were diagnosed, it must have been very hard emotionally and, to navigate. So what were your first steps? How did you ground yourself? How did you manage to pull through this and, master the courage to move forward, to just say, no, that's not my journey. I'm actively choosing this not to be my story. I want to write my own, and this is what you're doing.
Yeah. First, it started with, and I'm always very honest, and Valeria knows that. Everyone knows me. I'm an open book. And the thing is, my first thought was, I don't want to live and be blind. I panicked. I have to be very, very honest. I totally panicked. I was very lucky that my hubby was there, and he just held me, because the doctor just said, oh, there's no cure. We can't do anything. Sorry. So see you in 5 years. And I was like, hell no, I'm not coming to you again. I was just like, no.
Definitely not.
No. And they didn't offer a psychologist or any support at the beginning. And then when he was like, well, you could maybe go there and there. And I was panicking. I was like, I don't want to live. I don't want to live if I'm blind. And then I got scared because I had 2 tiny babies. And I got really scared, and I felt horrendous to think like that with my beautiful kids, which I love more than anything. They are my biggest achievement. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and then they were there. But whatever.
It is an achievement.
And that's when I was like, no, you cannot go down that path and stay there. It's okay that I felt it. I understand that now. And it even took me time to forgive myself to think that way. I was like, how dare I? But now I'm like, no, it was okay. It was a shock. And then I was like, okay, I need to go for the first time to a psychologist. I need help. I cannot deal with this on my own. And I need someone that I can talk to. And that's how I slowly started. And it's really, I would love to tell you all, I went to a psychologist, and it was like 2 times, and I was like healed and everything was good. And that is not the truth. It has taken now several years. So we're talking 15 years. And there were good days and there were bad days. And interestingly, I have this coping mechanism that I push everything down. I did that a lot. I don't do that anymore. Now it's like in my face the whole time. And that has a lot to do with acting.
That's a side effect of being, like open and honest and like with yourself. Then things just, they don't stay inside. They just like have their way.
No. Now it's just like, and I'm like, oh God, can I just push it down again like I did before? It's like, nope, no. I'm here. Like, you have to deal with it. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I'll deal with it. But at that time, what I did is I went to a psychologist, and she herself, I do not remember her name. She herself had lost eyesight on one eye in a car accident. I remember that. And the first session was nice. And the second session, I was like, oh my God, I need to help her. And that's the thing with me. I've always been there for others, and I love it. And I feel people so intensely. So I was there, and I was like, I need her. I need to support her. She needs help. And I was like, okay, well, you need to go to another psychologist because you need someone that really can carry you and can, that you don't fall into this, I'm just going to help you and forget everything about, because I needed to, work on this. And then I went to another one, and he worked more I don't know, holistically, like alternatively. He was a psychologist at the same, using alternative methods. So I didn't really understand everything he was doing, which was really good for me. because then I couldn't take over, because I kind of, my mind, I'm a Gemini, and I think I may want a triple Gemini or something. I'm learning about that now. I'm not very, I'm getting into that now. So I'm very fast with like, okay, what are you doing? And I couldn't do that so fast with him, so I was able to let go. And the interesting thing was that the first topics that then came up weren't even my eyes. It was other things. And that's where I realized that, and I've said this, I think this diagnosis, this illness was a gift. It really was, because it opened my eyes.
Exactly. Yes.
I didn't see before. I was functioning. I wasn't being clear. I wasn't even allowing myself to be fully myself. I just pushed everything down. And then I was like, oh, I forgot it. You don't. It's there. And it hurts you. And it drags you. And it just pushes you down. And it costs a lot of energy. So after all of this, is like, it is a gift. And it was a gift. And now, 15 years later, I went to the eye doctor, like, I think 3 years ago. So it was like 13 years later. And he looked at me, and he's an amazing doctor. And he was like, are you sure you have this? And I'm like, I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't.
You're the doctor.
And he was like, what have you been doing? And I was like, well, I've changed everything in my life. I've changed the way my diet. I've changed the way I am training my body. I have changed I am doing a lot of meditation. I am, doing all this kind of like journaling if I can, or workshops. I'm always continuing, like, searching and looking like, how can I improve? How can I improve myself? And it was beautiful, because he was like, what you're doing is working, because it has hardly changed at all. And he has patients that have the same thing that I do, and they have lost their eyesight in this time.
Wow.
So for all of you out there, I didn't think we were going with this this way. It's so important, the mindset. And it's so important that you're on your own journey, and that you're listening to us means that there is something in your soul that is just, even if it's very silent, it's there going like, please create. Doesn't matter if you're a producer, actor, director, writer, in the creative field, in any capacity, there's a reason you're listening to us. So yeah, we hope we can take good care of you, in a sense of that we provide what you need. And as I said before, if you have anything you would like us to cover, we will also have our email down there, so you can reach out to us. And if you have any questions, please do. Or you have, as I said, some gorgeous woman, powerful woman that you know of, or a man that supports women in the film industry, please let us know. We would then want to reach out to them and interview them, so we can learn from each other. That's, Yes.
And do follow Eva and I on Instagram. We share our behind the scenes. We share what we do, I think, in a very honest way. Because we're learning. And what we're learning is that content creation is something to be reckoned with. It's self-promotion, it's self-marketing, and that's also part of this podcast. We're going to talk about this as well.
Exactly, because that's the one thing that I have struggled with for a long time. And I know you talked about it too. It's like self-marketing. So we definitely want to bring that into this whole conversation, that we support each other, and that listening, for me it is, at least, and Valeria, I think for you too, is when I listen to others, it gives me a lot of time, this boost to go like, okay, I will dare. I will do this. I will take that 100%. One step. I will post, if I'm on Instagram and I'm like, oh, it's not my favorite. If that's you, then like I will post at least once a week, to start with that. Because you can have all the beautiful talent in the world. Like, you can be the most creative human being. If you're not out there, we don't know that you exist. And that's a shame, because we want to know who you are. We want to work with you. So please, please, please put yourself
I think it's really, there comes the point where there's like two sides, like where you want to have like, you know, connection to people. And for that, you have to put yourself out there, really put yourself out there and be vulnerable and be ready for the feedback. And sometimes it'll be amazing. Sometimes it'll be, you know, not so amazing. It can hurt, but it doesn't matter. The important part is that you're there and you're reachable and you're open. And that's the energy that you want to kind of have. But yeah, I mean, I've also been tortured artist for a while, where I was just like writing and not sharing and thinking that, you know, nobody's gonna care, nobody understands. This is me on my little dramatic journey. But I think for me, like 2025, it's where drama ends. I fully intend to follow through on this. It's like drama, I'm gonna leave it for my movies, for everything that I write.
Yes.
I can create a little dramatic moment there, but like life is drama free, and I want to have it. I want to have it good. You know, it doesn't mean that it's not gonna, you know, like it's not about being toxic, positive or something. It's just about choosing to look on the bright side. And
yes,
yeah.
yes. That's beautiful. Well, we hope that you enjoyed this, our first episode. And we hope that we, you know, can take you on a journey and something, you know, where you can learn. As I said, we will be definitely learning from every single one that we're going to be interviewing. And yeah, thank you so much for just taking the time to listen to us or watch us. Hi. And yeah, we will continue this. The episode will be weekly. So once a week we will drop an episode. And we're looking forward to it.
Very much so. Yes.
Very much so. Can I say this? I'm going to say this. Merry Christmas, everyone.
And Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. Thank you.
Let 2025 be everything that you want it to be. Just make it happen.